So now we'll go to the next speaker, Dr. Pratap Patare, who will be going to talk on review of vaccination availability for pediatric age and their pros and cons. So Pratap, he's MD Pediatrics from Vijay Medical College, and he has got his fellowship in neonatology from PVS Memorial Hospital, Cochin, and fellowship in the pediatric cardiology in Frontier Lifeline Hospital. He's at consultant in Siddhivinayak Children's Hospital. But his most important thing, which I think I want to share, is that his paper with Dr. Himmatrao Bavaskar on scorpion sting. So that was, I think, admirable presentation. I request Dr. Pratap to start his presentation, and kindly limit it to 10 minutes, because we will be running short of time. So please, Dr. Pratap, you can start your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay. I'm going to talk about the vaccines for coronavirus disease. Give me 1 sec.
Yes, we can see the slides.
It is not getting, the slides are not getting changed.
Yes, it is audible. Visible, sir.
Yeah. So my topic is review of vaccination availability for pediatric age group and their pros and cons. So we will go through a few slides where we discuss why there was a need for the development of vaccine, the vaccine techniques available, and what are the WHO rules for using a vaccine, preparing a vaccine, and getting it to use in a short time. So why we need vaccine for COVID-19? Now, we already know that vaccines can prevent infectious diseases like measles, polio, influenza, and we are already getting benefits of the vaccine. Now, for a pandemic like COVID-19, vaccination is very important, because if most people are vaccinated, it limits the spread of the disease, and it indirectly protects people who are not vaccinated. So how the COVID-19 vaccines work? So we will just see the structure of the coronavirus. We can see there is a spike protein, there is an envelope protein, and there is a membrane protein and the nucleocapsid. So most of the vaccines which have been invented against corona, they act against the spike glycoprotein. This spike glycoprotein, this has got a receptor binding domain through which it attaches to the ACE2 receptor.
Pratap, can you increase your voice, please? Be loud.
Is it okay now, sir?
Yes, it is audible.
Yes.
Audible?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. So this is the structure of the coronavirus. There is a spike protein, envelope protein, membrane protein, and the nucleoprotein. Most vaccines are designed to act against the spike protein, because this spike protein is important for coronavirus to bind to ACE2 receptor through its receptor binding domain and gain entry into the cell. So majority vaccines are acting against this spike glycoprotein. Now the vaccines greatly reduce the risk of infection by training the immune system. So the vaccine, it stimulates the immune system, and later on, when actually the body has to face the coronavirus, the immune system is already having the memory and it acts against the coronavirus efficiently. So all subsequent immune infections, the virus will be recognized very early and there will be a rapid attack on the virus. Now the safety of the about the coronavirus vaccines. Now, as we know that the standard protocol of developing a vaccine and getting it to market, it's a very long procedure, And we saw that the coronavirus epidemic started in December 1919. We got the first case in 2020. And by the year end, we had a vaccine. So we definitely get a doubt whether these vaccines are safe. But let me tell you that even if it is a pandemic, it is not an excuse. And safety requirements are same as for the other vaccines. The safety trials are done with proper principles. So the proper trials are to be conducted by the manufacturer, then only the vaccine will be put to use. And the principle is to start small. So you start in a small number of people, find out the safety profile, and then go on to use onto larger number of subjects. So these COVID-19 vaccines are similarly evaluated in thousands of participants, and scientific data was generated to determine the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. The manufacturer has to conduct the trials with rigorous standards as given by the WHO. Now these vaccines are tested in broad population. So they include young and healthy adults, as well as elderly people, as well as people with some disease. So vast number of population is involved, different type of individuals are involved. And there is post-deployment monitoring also. So that is also done. So to ensure the safety of the vaccine. Now monitoring following the vaccination procedure. Now adverse event following immunization monitoring is essential. So it can be a serious AEFI. What is the serious AEFI? Event causing death, event causing hospitalization, or causing prolongation of existing hospitalization, and there is persistent or significant disability, or there is incapacity, or it causes a congenital anomaly. So all countries should have a good surveillance system, adverse event following immunization surveillance system. All the AEFI should be reported. So this is the surveillance cycle. First of all, we detect an AEFI, we notify it, we report it, we investigate and analyze it, and we find out the causality assessment, and then we give the feedback. So this is the surveillance cycle. Now, what is emergency use authorization? So the routine standard method of a vaccine undergoing a trial and then bringing it to use, it takes almost a decade. So it's a very long procedure. In a pandemic like COVID, we cannot wait for such a long time. So there is a different provision for that. That is called as emergency use authorization. So this is a mechanism to facilitate availability and use of vaccines during public health emergency. In an emergency, vaccines are temporarily approved as it's not possible to have all the evidence before full approval. So there are some criteria for emergency use approval. The benefits of the vaccine must outweigh the potential risks. Phase 1 and phase 2 data is needed, and 50% subjects in phase 3 must have 2 months follow-up after the full vaccination regimen. There should be active follow-up on safety, deaths, and serious adverse reactions. So this diagram tells us the traditional vaccine development timeline. So the distribution is happening after 9 or 10 years of the invention of the vaccine. In accelerated vaccine development, the preclinical trial, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, they are overlapping. They are happening around the same time. And the vaccine distribution is happening by the end of the year. Pharmacovigilance then continues after vaccination. So here we have limited the 10 years time and we have brought it down to 1 year time. Now there are different techniques of development of COVID-19 vaccine. So there is protein subunit vaccine, virus-like particle, DNA vaccine, RNA vaccine, viral vector vaccine, whole inactivated vaccine, and live attenuated vaccine. In protein subunit vaccine, they take a unit of the spike protein and they attach it with some adjuvant that is a proprietary authority of that particular manufacturing company, and then this can generate immune response. So Novavax is a vaccine which has used similar kind of technique, and the Anhui, Zifi, Longcom Biopharma, that is the Chinese academy. there are some other publications where they have used dimeric form. So they have this spike protein is a monomer which contains the receptor binding domain. Now they have used disulfide linkage and they have attached two monomers together with this disulfide linkage to cause a dimeric form. Now this dimeric form is more immunogenic as compared to the monomeric form. And they have found around 10 to 100 fold development of neutralizing antibodies as compared to the monomeric form. And they have used the MERS COVID virus, SARS-CoV-2, as well as the SARS COVID virus for this. The virus-like particle, we have this Medicago vaccine. In virus-like particle, it is a artificially manufactured virus where there is no genome is existing, and they attach this spike protein to that, and then it is injected. The viruses like rabies virus, which is found in other animals, then there is rhabdovirus and equine encephalitis virus. These are the various viruses which are used for manufacturing of vaccine by this technique. We have DNA vaccine that is manufactured by Johnson & Johnson, that is called as Janssen. In DNA vaccine, you actually inject a DNA. This DNA is having all the information to produce the virus particles. Now this DNA goes into the cell. The antigens are manufactured by the host's body, and these antigens are recognized by the host's body and antibodies are produced against it. The drawback of DNA vaccine is this DNA can get incorporated into the DNA of the host cell, and then it can cause mutagenesis, it can cause oncogenesis. So these are the drawbacks of the DNA vaccine. Then we have a RNA vaccine. Moderna and Pfizer, they have used this RNA vaccine technique. Viral vector vaccine. Now Covishield, what majority people in India have taken, we have taken, that is Covishield, that was manufactured by viral vector vaccine. Sputnik also is a viral vector vaccine. Now here what they use is some live virus is used, and that virus is attached with a spike protein and then it is injected. Now Covishield has used a virus that causes, that is an adenovirus which causes infection in chimpanzees. Sputnik has used virus which causes infection in humans. Now, when a virus which is already infecting humans, if the host has got a infection with the same virus in the past and has got some antibodies, these antibodies will destroy that virus and the vaccine will not be that effective. So, but the Sputnik has given very good results. The efficacy wise, it's around 95% efficacy Sputnik has given. So that thing has not affected the Sputnik's efficacy. There is whole inactivated vaccine, that is Covaxin, Sinovac, BIBP, that is Beijing Institute of Biopharmacological Society, and Wuhan Institute of Biopharma. Live attenuated vaccine. Now we don't have any vaccine right now undergoing phase 2 or phase 3 trial. Maybe in future we will be having this vaccine. Now this is a small one slide and small diagram where we see the mRNA vaccine, how it is functioning. Now this mRNA is injected, goes into the cell. Now this is now encoded. Now this mRNA is having information to manufacture spike protein. The host body will manufacture a spike protein. This spike protein will be presented to our immune cells, and our then cells will be producing antibodies against this spike protein, which our own body has manufactured with the help of the mRNA. Now these are the various vaccines with the efficacy rate and how many doses and duration between the two doses. Now there are two terms, efficacy and effectiveness. Now what is efficacy? Efficacy is what amount of antibodies are generated during the study. So it is done in a controlled environment. What is effectiveness? Effectiveness is the antibody generation caused by the vaccine in real world conditions. So once the vaccine is marketed and given to the subjects, the studies done after that, that will tell us the effectiveness of the virus. That data is yet to come. So Covishield has got 62 to 90% efficacy. We give 2 doses 28 days apart. Covishield study which was going in UK, what they did was in one study, the first dose was given as a half dose and the second dose was given as a full dose. Now when this was done, they found high efficacy of 90%. And in other study, what they did, both doses were given as full dose. In that, in spite of giving full dose, the efficacy was very less. So they thought that a higher dose of the vaccine is causing antibodies, which is actually destroying the vaccine itself. And that's why the efficacy is low. Moderna vaccine has shown efficacy of 95%. We give 2 doses 28 days apart. Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, 95% efficacy. 2 doses are to be given 21 days apart. Sputnik, 92% efficacy is there. 2 doses given 21 days apart. Covaxin has shown 81% efficacy, 2 doses and 28 days apart. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine has shown 74.4 to 72% efficacy with single dose. Now this vaccine is single dose. 74.4% was found 14 days after the dose of the vaccine. 72% was found 28 days after the dose of the vaccine. Now the Pfizer, this Pfizer vaccine will be available in India after the studies are done, and it's already in process. So what adverse effects were found in Pfizer vaccine? Local effects were redness, swelling, pain at injection site. The systemic side effects were fever, fatigue, headache, chills, vomiting, diarrhea, new arising muscle pain or worsening of a old muscle pain or worsening of a old joint pain. The serious adverse effects were only 0.5% in the vaccine subjects and 0.2% in placebo, so which is not significant at all. Now Pfizer further studies for age group 5 to 10 years, the dosing was supposed to start in March 2021, last week of March. And for 2 years to 5 years age group, dosing was supposed to start in the first week of the April 2021. Vaccine also will be available for 6 months to 2 years. Now Pfizer, we are giving 2 doses, which is 21 days apart we are giving. Now Covaxin study in pediatrics, DCGI allowed phase 2 and phase 3 trials in children between 2 to 18 years age group. 525 subjects will be registered and the trials will be conducted at 3 places: AIIMS Delhi, AIIMS Patna, and in Nagpur, the Mediterranean Institute of Medical Sciences. In February, 24th February, the clinical trial protocol was asked to revise and it was submitted again. Now this vaccine was manufactured with collaboration with ICMR and NIV. Now they are going to give a huge number of doses, 700 million doses a year. Now this is an inactivated vaccine, imidazoquinoline, which is chemizod on algel or alum. Now this imidazoquinoline was used to inactivate the vaccine. Now this vaccine has been designed to traffic the vaccine directly to the lymph nodes and it will skip the systemic circulation. The adverse effects seen in Covaxin. The common adverse events were headache, fatigue, fever, nausea and vomiting. The abnormal lab parameters after vaccine were deranged serum bilirubin, deranged SGOT, SGPT, raised CRP, raised cholesterol. But there was no clinical corroboration with the lab findings.
Pratap.
Yes, sir. Last 2 slides.
Can you say,
The pregnancy and lactation, what is the strategy? Now, pregnant and lactating women can take vaccine and they go to the mass vaccination center also. After corona infection, vaccine has to be deferred for 3 months. And again, if monoclonal antibodies are used during the corona infection, we have to postpone the vaccine for 3 months after discharge. If there was COVID infection, after the first dose, we have to take the second dose 3 months after recovering from the illness. After recovery from serious illness, we have to give 4 to 8 weeks gap before giving the vaccine. So this is all about the vaccines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, Pratap, you have really given very important instructions regarding actually what is the difference between all vaccines, because people are going to ask us this problem and we should know which type of vaccine these are, because which is RNA vaccine, which is DNA vaccine, and all how they work and what are their side effects. It was really a very helpful lecture for the all pediatricians.